Welcome to This Week in Local, a Localogy podcast featuring lively conversations about the local digital ecosystem, hosted by Localogy analysts Mike Bolin and Charles Laughlin.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to This Week in Local. I'm Charles Laughlin, Senior Analyst with Localogy. Today, I'm joined by Itzik Levy, who is the CEO of vcita. Itzik, welcome.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you for having me.
Great. So vcita, we want to learn a little bit about that before we kind of get into a conversation about the SaaS, the B2B SaaS business. It's vcita. What is the origin story? Kind of what is the original idea that led to the formation of this company?
So vcita, we've been around for 13 years, since 2010. So been on the road for a while. We started as a scheduling, an online scheduling solution, kind of the Calendly story. We were Calendly before Calendly, we were Calendly in a way. And then we decided to kind of expand that to payments and CRM, and ended up having a full all-in-one business management solution. So the story starts with online scheduling and expands from there.
Okay. So why what was the pain point that you identified that made you think, okay, scheduling is where we have to start?
So it's a funny story. I actually, my origins are in security. I was more around cybersecurity, and when I completed my previous company and decided to do my next thing, I decided that I want to do something that touches more, actual people or businesses. And I looked, the blogosphere and bloggers were a big thing. And what I thought about, what we started from, is actually allowing bloggers to monetize their readership. And we thought, in order to do that, we need to allow them to have the readers of the blog to basically approach the blogger and be able to ask them and consult with them for a fee. And that's where we started. We started with, let's schedule an online session with the blogger to basically get his advice or his or her advice. So this is also the origin of the name. vcita is actually virtual cita, with cita is Latin for meeting or appointment.
Okay.
Virtual appointment.
I had no idea. That's it's always cool. There's always something behind names, right? There's always something.
Yeah.
So how did that work?
The original idea?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to get quite a lot of people. Like the need for online scheduling exists, and you see that, when you see other companies also succeeding with that. And we were lucky enough to basically partner with partners like either WordPress and Wix, and build add-ons that allow us to gather a crowd and a clientele of a few thousand people coming every month, and it worked pretty well. Help us grow the company to be like 40 people and grow in ARR. But at some point of time, we took that turn of trying to not stay only with scheduling for small businesses, but go beyond that, and that's obviously complicated everything in terms of the size and robustness of the solution we actually need to build.
Yeah. Was there an insight at some point that made you think, okay, small businesses don't just need scheduling, they need all these other things, and they need it in one place? I mean, talk a little bit about how you thought through that.
Yeah, the thing is that, as I said, we start with bloggers, but what we found out is that people that want to make money online usually are small businesses. They don't just write content for content. And when you look at those small businesses, they don't necessarily want to meet customers online. They want to meet them at their office. They want to meet them through a phone call. And so we started getting more and more requests around extending our solution. They don't want to pre-charge or charge by the minute for the call. They want to charge with invoicing. They want to charge by sending an invoice. They want to meet offline. So we got more and more questions or requests to build more and more functionality. So we started by building an invoicing solution and adding offline meeting, allowing to schedule a meeting that is not necessarily being done online. And then they asked for records, so we kind of built a mini CRM. And at some point of time, we ended up with some kind of a business management solution that is more focused, I would say, on online engagement. And that happened just because of us listening to our customer base. It wasn't like a vision. The part with the vision actually started when we find out that we have that, and we understood that we want to do more than that and expand that to not only for online engagement, kind of a CRM, but basically include a business management solution altogether.
So you never came into this with small businesses need these things and they need them all in one app. That you sort of evolved into that.
Yeah, that's true. I now, by the way, when looking at this problem today, vcita is not only all in one, having multiple different solutions in one place, but it's also cross vertical. So we're not addressing a specific vertical. We build the business management solution for different verticals, service-oriented basic verticals, but many different professions. And I do think today that all-in-one is for sure the right solution. I do know today that for very small businesses, which is the core of our audiences, like 1 people, 5 people, 10 employees, 20 employees, for these kind of businesses, they don't really want to mess with different types of solution, and they don't have an integration capabilities. They just want to have everything in one place. So I really truly believe, even though it wasn't my vision right from the beginning, I really truly believe that this is the right solution, at least for very small businesses. When you are a bigger business, it might be a different case. But with these small businesses, that's the right solution, I believe.
Yeah, I'm kind of going back to what you said at first, which is that you built for bloggers initially, and this is 13 years ago, something like that. Yeah. Now we have this creator economy that's a huge thing, which is not the same as this, bloggers trying to monetize their traffic back, a decade ago. But do you look at this sort of emerging creator economy and think, how can we serve that and benefit? Is that part of your broader customer segment?
I think today we have made another kind of shift, moving more towards a platform for partners to take this kind of solution online by themselves, or take it to the market, by themselves. So we can talk about it in a second. But given that we are more focused, I would say, on a bit kind of more established businesses, and also the businesses that are ultra small solo offices or even freelancers that does even part-time, right. Those are very hard to maintain and build a real business on top of. So based on
that's an interesting insight, because there's so many of them, right? But a lot of them don't make any money. A lot of them they're doing it for fun or whatever, Yeah,
and also I would be honest and say that not all the things that we actually solve, all the value that we provide, is actually an urgent need for many of those, because it's easier to manage. They are too small to really need to manage in large scale. Mm-hmm. And the value from vcita comes when you really need to manage your business today.
So your sweet spot is a established SME.
Yeah.
Whether that's multi-location SME or service-based or whatever it is, but there has to be some substance to that business, right?
Yeah.
For them to benefit from your solution and for them to be in your target audience, right?
Exactly.
Okay. And you said something interesting. I just want to clarify. You said you don't really build for verticals, you build for all SMEs that are at the scale that you need. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's what makes us interesting, I think, our offering interesting for our partners, which tend to be cross-vertical companies, marketing companies, telco companies, banking or financial institutions. So all of them really want to serve a wide audience. So if I build something only for dentists, that would be interesting for them. So for sure, this is our
different company.
This is our core. I think what the tricky part about it is that when you want to keep things simple, and you have to keep things simple for the end users, for the SMBs, when dealing with very small businesses, you have to keep it simple. This becomes quite a challenge to make the platform robust enough or broad enough to really support all the different small businesses, but don't require a lot of setup or a lot of being able to kind of answer, or being needed to answer many different questions to get to set up. So there is a tension there, and I think this is one of the main things we struggled with in the beginning and are working on, to make things very simple, even though the platform is very powerful.
Okay, I mean, sort of a truism about software is the simpler the software is to the end user, the more complicated it is in the background. Is that?
Yeah, and that's become even more extreme when you try to address different types of end users, different professions or different geographies, or etc.
Did you ever play with the idea of building for verticals, like having within the vcita platform, having something designed for home services pros versus designed for multi-location businesses and so on? And how did you think that through, and kind of where did you end up?
Yeah, so we started by having what we call it internally Verti. Verti is our verticalization engine. Basically, it creates templates and setup and presettings and defaults and even content that is per vertical. So if you're telling us in the beginning that you are, let's continue with the dentist example, we will set up everything the way dentists usually want it. But at some point in time, as you said, this is interesting. We actually decided to try and really build something that is more tuned towards that. And what we ended up with is that we'll never be able to really compete with businesses that really are vertical focused. And so our strength is actually not being vertical focused completely, because then we can address broader audiences. And what I said before, we can serve partners that want to serve broad audience. So we end up not taking that route, even though we did toy with that a bit, and choose the route of creating those verticalization engine and presets and everything to make it very easy for the business that starts with vcita and try to onboard and get the value from the system.
So by choosing to go broad, you're making a solution that is suitable for partners that have a broad SME customer base. So that is, I mean, it's kind of going big, right?
Yeah, we actually believe that, like, look, the problem of building a business management solution for small businesses in many geographies, all-in-one and cross-vertical, is extremely hard. And I don't think any company, and you can see some examples, you probably know them even more than me, that struggled with that and tried, and it was hard. And so we believe that we must have help from our partners. We need to have partners that are experts at specific geographies, specific verticals, specific use cases to help us basically take it to market. So we took an ecosystem approach where we allow partners to take that, change a bit the system, add some functionality, connect it to their own offerings, build their own packaging around that, and take it to market. And we believe that this also is the key for actually being able to tackle such a big problem of basically serving so many different businesses in many different ways. We have, a CRM and a time management solution and a billing solution and a client portal and marketing. So many different things in one place, but that needs to be served to serving so many different businesses is just too much of a hard problem for vcita to solve, or I would say even to any company to solve by itself.
Okay. I want to shift gears to a couple of tracks. The first one is sort of learning more about what you've learned about SMBs over the years. And, there's a lot of research done, including by Localogy, and a lot of insights shared about what small businesses need and what small businesses use. Could you get just a few thoughts of what you've learned over the years on how eager are SMBs to use technology, and kind of where are the boundaries in terms of pushing too little, too much technology onto SMBs? I mean, what is your sort of core understanding about SMEs technology adoption and how to sort of build around that understanding?
Obviously, with the amount of mistakes we've done along the years, there are probably a lot of things we learned. I'll try to kind of bring some to the table, even though probably not all of them. I will start by saying that, we as, companies, that startups or technology companies, we think a lot about growth. And a lot of our, intent or incentives to do things are, we want to grow the business. That's not necessarily how small business think. Many small businesses, like, we'll stay with the dentist example. Many dentists don't want to grow. They don't want to manage anyone.
No, that's actually very important. The small businesses, a lot of them want to stay small.
Yeah, they want to stay small. They don't have a dream of becoming a huge, clinic. They just want to have their clinic, manage it very well, having the customers really content with the service they get, and really enjoy the day-to-day. So one thing I would say is that from the way we, what we saw along the years, is that a lot of technology adoption doesn't necessarily come from the need to grow or to be more effective in the way I want to be able to get more customers, but actually to create better experience to the end user, to be more organized, and so forth. So operational and productivity is very important for small businesses. I will also say the point that I said before around, and this we did a lot of work on and researches around that, the all-in-one versus point solutions. This is very clear. This is why I'm telling you that I'm highly, I'm very bullish around all-in-one. I think eventually for very small businesses, all-in-one is the main thing that will stay. People won't use different solutions for different needs. They need integration and are unable to do it by themselves, so they want everything to be well connected. Another thing that we learned is that I think the acquisition of small business, getting them to sign an agreement, is just the beginning, where the hard part is actually getting to adopt the solution. And this is that's
also an interesting point, which is there's a lot of app downloads that are never, actually used, or never, the subscription is never, followed up. They use the free version and maybe they use it or don't use it. But anyway, talk about that a little bit more and kind of what you've learned.
It's a typical gym subscription kind of phenomenon, right? They would buy the software, say to themselves, I want to manage my business well. I want to be digital. I want to take it to the next level. Yeah. And then eventually they're used to some way of running the business, and their day-to-day is very busy, and they don't have, and sometimes they're afraid of technology. Sometimes they don't have the time, or they need to get their staff trained on it. So what we, for many years we had this problem of people, joining and then eventually not using it, and eventually they will churn out.
Not running on the treadmill ever. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. So we are really, really heavy and really investing in adoption and education. It's in product education. It's discovery of more and more features to get them to hooked on one capability and then allow them to discover, as part of the flow, discover more capabilities and more value that we can provide.
Yeah. Could you talk about that a little more? A handful or just a couple examples of best practices for driving adoption versus simply just agreeing to use the software.
Yeah, so I would say, that the simple stuff is, of course, in product videos and messages that pops up in the right time and offer the right thing. We build an email-based in-app system, internal system that basically at any point of time, like once a week, wakes up per user, looks at the usage that this user did in the last week, and understand what is the most likely thing that is going to use, the most likely feature that we have, capabilities that we have, value that the business most likely needs, that we can recommend via email or via in-app. So contextual help, personalized messaging around discovery. You need to showcase your ROI, to showcase the value that you provide. At the beginning, we did a lot of things automatically, reminding you about appointments, reminding you clients about payments that they didn't pay or invoices that are due. We did a lot of automatic billing, a lot of things that we did, but we didn't show the small business what we actually did for the owner of the small business. So that, people, we talk to customer and they tell us, we didn't know that you did that. We didn't know that you're sending automatically invoices, reminders, because we didn't say that we're doing it. So they didn't even know. So that's another example. And eventually, if you look at the development effort in vcita today, we have like 20% of maintaining the solution, renewing the platforms we are using, etc. And then of the rest, we have about 50% that is not about building anything new, just about improving the same functionality we already have, creating more and more engaging and easier to use.
So customer experience, you're investing most, I don't know if that's the right description, but adoption and ongoing use is where you invest most of your human capital.
50% of our time. You would think that you have, when I used, you would think that we have about 80 people in our development organization. You would think that you will be able to run, 8 times better than you used to run when we had the 10 people. That's completely not the case, because now that we have, hundreds of thousands of people using the solution, all the time you get feedback about things that are not easy enough to understand. And if you're spending the time listening to your own support team and customer success team, you find yourself not adding as much functionality because it's not as important as just making sure that everything you already add is easily discoverable, easily self-explanatory, and really easy to use and friendly. So this is so much of our time, and I think this is the right way to go. So I would recommend any company starting now to really build less, but make sure it's highly optimized for easy use. Specifically for very small businesses, it might not be the case with more professional users that are using something for a while.
So you invest heavily in customer success. Now, the next thread I want to discuss is where automation comes in, and that underlying that is AI, not necessarily, but So you invest so much in customer success, and your focus is on driving adoption. How will automation and other, and AI, let's just say it, how will that drive those things going forward and make them easier, better, more efficient, more profitable, et cetera?
So that's a very good timing to ask this question, because everybody talks about AI, obviously, and we also have.
I didn't want to start with it.
And we also have big plans for AI. And the way I think about it is it's not news that AI is going to change the world, and I think everybody understands that the magnitude of the change we are about to face. But I think like eventually, and I see vcita's goal is to enable, is to support AI changing the world of SMB owners as well, and not and taking that change and also apply it to SMBs. And the way I think about it is that, every small business would benefit. Like big businesses have analysts and have Gartners that help them kind of, decide on business strategy and, go through their data and understand what are the insights that you can drive from the data. Small businesses don't have that. Mm-hmm. I think of the way we should bring BI. We have this idea of, we call it Biz AI. We are launching it and releasing an alpha version these days. And the idea is basically that every small business needs to have someone, an advisor, a business advisor, or a business analyst behind his shoulder, looking at everything that happens and give advices. And this analyst needs to know everything that there is to know about the business. And the good news
this analyst is an AI.
Yeah, it's an AI advisor. Whatever. It's a business.
A co-pilot. Do you use the term co-pilot in this context? I know that's already become a cliche, I think. But
yeah, it's actually it's a nice term for that. We call it Biz AI, basically a business advisor. That's where we're coming from. But the idea, and I have in mind, is I don't know, in Israel, I'm located in Israel, so we used to have a primetime TV show where there is a business advisor. It comes to a small business, learn everything there is to learn about this business, and then provide a ton of advice about what needs to be changed. So I have this mental model, the same mental model.
We have that show for every specific kind of business.
So I think about having that show for every business on the face of Earth. Like you have your own business advisor, and this business advisor, the first step in the show is basically to ask everything that there is to ask about this business and get all the data. So the good news about business management solution, and specifically vcita, is that we have a ton of information. We're not just building the website for the business, or just managing time, or just managing CRM. We actually manage time and billing and CRM and marketing. We know everything that there is to know about the business. And so given all this information, I think that the advice we can provide around like what is the right pricing, what should I answer this customer that asked me a question, what should I, when do I need to write an email campaign, what should I write, what text do I need to use there, so many, what other services I might want to offer in addition to the services I already offer, which we obviously know. So I think the AI advisor is effective as the data the advisor has access to. So the model is basically to allow your AI advisor to, look at all the data the business has, and then use the fact that he also knows the market very well to combine that into the right advice at the right time. So you would work in the system within the regular workflow of the system, and you, while you're working, will get the AI kind of giving you advices by actually, or either by if you request it, or as a push kind of feedback. And this is what we want to build, and we are doing it, and it actually is surprisingly effective. It's amazing that you go into this Biz AI, and let's say you are will continue with the dentist example, and then you say, how much, what are the services I need to offer, and then the AI would say, look, in New York, where you are in, because it knows where I'm in, dentists do this and that and that. Usually, this is a very common service. I see it, you're not offering it. And then you say, how much should I charge for it? And they will say, in New York, the average charge is $60, or probably $200 to $500 for that service. As you go and look into that, and then you say, okay, how do I want to market this service? What do I want to write on, as the name of the service? How do I want to send email campaigns to? Everything. When you have the right information that you make available for the AI, and the AI actually is trained on, of course, internet material, the language model actually uses internet material to basically be trained, then you actually get surprising insights. And that's what we want to build. And I think that would be a big change, both to our users specifically, but I think more and more companies will do that, and do that today. And we believe we can be, instrumental in making this change happen. And I think it's going to be a big change for small businesses.
Okay. So do you have a sense that among SMBs, if you tell them they're using AI, do they get excited and want to use it more, or does it make them a little nervous?
I don't have data on that because we're just now listening.
Okay, fine. But what's your sense?
But I can tell you that when we did look at some surveys before releasing that, we saw that people are saying that they're using it, but they don't really mean using it in a business way. They mean using it when they need to do some tasks, and sometimes it's related to the business. But because of the fact that in order to ask a question and get a real answer that is relevant for you, you need to tell the AI, you need to tell it so many different details about yourself. So I cannot ask AI how much should I charge for this without telling him where I'm from, what kind of business customers I usually serve, what other services I offer, and how much I charge for them. All this information, if I'm going to write this down into ChatGPT, I'm going to spend 20 minutes just writing the whole data before even asking my question. And this is the part we can actually do for you. We can feed everything that there is to feed to the AI model, so your question will always come with context.
So you train the model and the business doesn't have to?
Yes.
Sort of.
We provide the context and the business doesn't have to, exactly.
Okay, all right. Itzik, I'm afraid we're kind of running low on time here. I really want to thank you for joining us. It's been a lot of fun. Just one last very quick question, which is, where do you want to take vcita over the next couple of years?
That's a question I spend a lot of hours thinking about, but I'm
sure you do. But let's give us a very brief version of that.
Part of my job, I would say that we have made a change to be focused on partners. We are looking for companies that has a lot of a big customer base in the SMB, SMB customer base, and we help them to take to market very quickly a business management solution based on our technology, and we help them do that, building on our experience for 13 years. And I think that's the vision for vcita, to really build these customers. We have dozens of those customers, both in the US and in Europe. And we are building the right set of capabilities, even for them, to basically be able to take that to market. So I think what vcita needs to do is to get to millions of small businesses, and to get from hundreds, thousands to millions, we need the help of partners. And those partners have a lot of value to get from that. And the value is around, the stickiness that CRM provide, the engagement that CRM provide or business management solution provide, and the incremental revenue and the way they can plug it into their own offering. And I think all of that together provides a win-win situation between vcita and those partners. So this is the cause for vcita. Focus on partners, whether it's banks or telcos or marketing companies or vertical service providers. We want those partners that have access to many small businesses, and we work with them to get their to extend their offering with our technology.
Okay. Itzik, we'll have to end it there. Thanks everyone for listening. This has been This Week in Local. Stay tuned every week for more episodes. I'm Charles Laughlin. My co-host is Mike Boland. Today's guest has been Itzik Levy of vcita. You can find this show on all major podcast networks, and you can learn more at localogy.com. Please subscribe, like, and review this podcast. Your engagement really helps others find us. Our producer is Dara Sweat. Thanks for listening, and see you next week.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Localogy's This Week in Local with Mike Boland and Charles Laughlin. Be sure to subscribe for more.